Have you ever had a black male teacher before?
Black male teacher. Wait. Let me think. I've had Mr. Williams.
I remember having a black male teacher in first grade.
I mean, I've never had one.
I think I've only had two. I've only had two throughout my entire experience in high school.
In all 9 years that I've been in MCPS, I've had 2 black male teachers.
I have never had a black male teacher. And I guess it is like a problem.
I think that it's important that we start having more black male role models.
I think it is an issue because the students are so diverse, so the teachers should be too.
As a student, I kind of feel alienated because I can't really relate to my teachers as much as other people can. Like, I don't know if they've gone through the same experiences that I have. And I can't say it's hurt me, but it would have been more beneficial if I had, a role model to look up to.
I felt like I was isolated and on an island before the bond project. So I've been in a number of different schools where I was the only black male teacher. I'm the only black male teacher, certified teacher on this staff here. Although I'm an assistant principal, we don't have any black male teachers.
Being here at Blair, there is a small but tight network of African American and Latino males. But there are many buildings within the county where there is only one African American male, and in some where there are none. That's an issue. I knew immediately when I heard about bond that it was something that I wanted to be involved in because it's part of my life's work, not just to teach, but to also make sure that we have educators that reflect how our student population looks.
3 years ago, I believe, Dr. Swimpson pulled a few of us together and said, hey, I have this idea. We need to figure out a way to support some of our teachers of color.
BOND is an acronym and it stands for Building Our Network of Diversity. And it was a program started about 2 or 3 years ago here in Montgomery County.
We don't have a diverse enough workforce. We need to figure out ways to do that. So we need to be able to recruit people to come in. We also need to be able to retain people once they get in.
During our kickoff meeting, we had individuals who had less than 3 years of teaching align themselves with veteran educators. In short, there's supposed to be a weekly conversation that takes place and at least one face-to-face per month conversation. And the goal is simply to see how things are going, to see if there are any questions that need to be asked, just to know that there's someone who is supporting them.
For those that are teaching in isolation, they feel this isolation of being the only one there. And I'm trying to reach out to them particularly, to bring them on board, to let them know that, hey, you're not alone. And when you understand that by being on this island by yourself, that you're important where you are. What you do is of value. And we want to make sure that we develop a support network around them.
There are a lot of teachers in Montgomery County and throughout the nation that are teaching in isolation. In Montgomery County, 12.5% of all teachers are black, while 21.3% of the student population is black, according to data collected in the 2012 through 2013 school year. In comparison, 75.7% of MCPS teachers are white, while 33% of students are white. Clearly, there is a lack of representation within MCPS, but this is also reflected nationwide. Only 1.81% of teachers in the U.S. are black males, while black males make up 7.39% of the student population. White females make up 27.38% of the student population, yet 63.02% of teachers are white females.
When we have male educators of color in the classroom, it's not just for those students who look like them. I think they benefit maybe a little bit more than others, but I think every student benefits from a diverse teaching corps.
In fact, a recent study performed by Hua Yu Sebastian Chung found that students of all races, white, Latino, black, and Asian, all preferred teachers of color over white teachers. The study surveyed 1,770 6th through 9th grade students on many different aspects of the teacher's abilities, including how well the teacher managed the classroom, supported students, and challenged them. Chung thinks that this preference may come from the fact that teachers of color can use their unique experiences to connect to more students and to address important issues in the classroom. Despite these findings, there are still fewer men of color in teaching positions. But why?
The problem is, how do you encourage young men to understand that education is a viable profession?
We're also trying to do some citizenship sort of pieces in the community so that some younger males of color who aren't of age yet can start to see teaching as a viable option, a viable career path.
How do you encourage individuals to spend 4 years in college, to maybe take out loans for college, to go into a profession where they feel as though their earnings are not comparable to what their peers are who have gone through those same 4 years and paid those same tuition rates? You really have to understand that education is a calling. Education is about social change. It's about being able to tell a particular narrative or story that may not exist within the schoolhouse without your contribution.
An article published by Dr. Ivory Toldson and Dr. Chance Lewis found that only 23% of black males who completed education programs actually entered the teaching force, compared to 27% of white males, 41% of black females, and 42% of white females. In order to fix this disparity, they suggest that potential teachers should be made aware of the impact that they could have on students as a male of color. The Bond program aims to do just that, and more.
There are circumstances that only people in my perspective, only people in my shoes can really empathize with. And it's helped me see that there are other people here in the district.
And we have incredible conversations where when we close the door, we make sure there's nobody listening. Because I have to give him the down on what's going on here. It's stuff only we can talk about. It's made me realize that there's a need for us to be here teaching. But more importantly, there's a need for us to develop a support network.
Our students deserve to see many different individuals deliver the information to them that they receive every day. And when we talk about, the world that we live in, which is growing to be more and more diverse, I think we need to make sure that our teaching staff becomes diverse as well.
When you don't see a reflection of yourself, like in your teachers, then I feel like you don't think of yourself as, oh, I can be a teacher when I grow up. You don't see yourself as that in the future. And that kind of like closes gaps for you. And so, like when you're growing up, you won't think, oh, I had a really nice teacher that reminded me, related to me when I was growing up. I want to be just like them. You don't really have that moment.
It really gave me a sense of belonging. Other people understand me. As Brian Cadogan, one of our members, said, as some of the people in his building, those folks can hear him, but they can't feel him. And I felt like this is a place where people feel us.
I'm Nadia, Gaylin. I dress in the style of 1930s through 50s every day. When I was 12, my grandpa showed me this movie called The Hardy Girls, which stars Judy Garland. And when I was little, I watched a bunch of old movies, and I loved Judy Garland when I was little. I loved her in The Wizard of Oz. Seeing these movies and just the air that these women give off in these movies just is so, to me, like empowering and inspirational. And I wanted to be like that, For me, it's gotten kind of easy to tell what's vintage and what's good reproduction, and I have no qualms about wearing reproduction. I think it's great. Usually reproduction blouses are not made out of plain cotton anymore because that wrinkles. So people sort of switch to things like rayon and blends of stuff, which is really great. Back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, the buttons were very artisanally made. So oftentimes they're made out of shell, mother of pearl, things like that. And then for things like sweaters, what they did oftentimes is where the buttons were on the inside of the sweater, they sewed a ribbon. You can really only find that on vintage sweaters. You can't find that nowadays. I usually buy my clothes online, but if I don't buy them online, there are two boutiques that I really, really love. One is called Polysuits, it's in Tacoma Park. So I get like blouses there and staple pieces. They have a great basement, everything's on sale there. And then there's a store that I can walk to called Sage, and it's in Kensington. They don't have a lot of clothes because they mainly sell like homeware and stuff, but everything's vintage, and the clothes they have are great, really cheap. I love both those places. I really love when the older generations appreciate how I look, because I do think that we, teenagers and older people, always have had historically, just always been a culture clash. But especially now with this boom of technology that's happened, it's very hard for us to connect. My grandparents really they used to think it was really hilarious, embarrassing, but now they really love it. And sometimes I'll wear an outfit and my grandma will be like, you know what? I wore that pretty much that exact outfit when I was a teenager, and I remember when we did this and that outfit, and it's really nice to have that connection with the old generation. Doing this look, like I said, it's way more than skin deep for me. It's very meaningful. It's taught me how to love myself, taught me how to love my body. I think we all do, but I really did struggle with body image issues since I was very young. And this has really helped me come into my own. And then at night when I'm pin curling my hair, there's always this guaranteed 15 minutes of me time. If I've had a crazy day, I can still have this meditative, therapeutic time to relax, to do my hair, to think. So it's really helped me in a lot of different ways, because sometimes picking an outfit, doing my hair and makeup, getting ready, in terms of looks, is what gets me out of bed, especially when I'm feeling sick, physically or low. It's what gets me out of bed sometimes, and that's great to have that. One of the first things I do want people to know about me is, and it's a common misconception and I understand why, is that while I love the look from the 50s, I love the films, I love the music, I love the pop culture, the social culture I don't. And I'm very, very happy and feel very, very lucky, especially because I know so much about the 50s, to be living in this time. And today, there's a woman running for president, gay marriage in all 50 states, and I just being able to do certain things in this era that I couldn't in the 50s.
Blair's political spectrum is, I think, pretty restricted.
2 students out of 100 are socially conservative, would be an estimate.
I'm afraid of the repercussions. I'm afraid that if I say something just maybe even mildly conservative, or I disagree with people who say liberal things, who express the liberal viewpoint, people will shoot me down.
Because there's a very liberal, culture here at Blair, and so I think the conservative viewpoint probably doesn't get expressed as much.
You guys think I'm intolerant for not supporting gay rights, but you guys are being intolerant by not accepting me as a conservative.
I'm Tony, I'm a junior at Blair. Last year, for example, I took AP NSL Government, and my teacher was a very, very far left liberal. A lot of the time when we would be discussing current events what's going on, especially with this election, he would say things that would be not ignorant, but not always, he wouldn't always keep in mind that what he said could offend someone or make someone feel as if their opinion doesn't matter. So I would sit there in class and I wouldn't feel comfortable saying like, oh, that's not cool, because everyone in the room is agreeing with him.
Our area and Blair as a whole is extremely liberal, I would say far left on the political spectrum. Of course, there are some conservative outliers from time to time, but there are very few, maybe only a handful, considering that my opinions are pretty unpopular in this area. And I've met with some intolerance and some hate in my younger years. Before I knew about this sort of thing, I've had to keep silent, and I'm only now speaking out. I remember talking to somebody and then just being sworn at, just being cursed at just for being a Republican. And so that really scared me. So starting in 8th grade, I was like, if everybody in this school is like this, then I'm just not gonna talk, because I don't want that sort of hate anymore.
I'm Jack, and I'm a senior here at Blair. Because people are so unaccustomed to their views being challenged and their understanding being challenged, they get offended really quickly.
I think that there's a strong argument to be made that the lack of understanding of the other side's ideas and opinions is part of the root cause of our current political crises.
Compromise politically has become this this really negative thing where candidates say, I will never compromise my values, and we shouldn't have to compromise.
It's driven by what's happening in the national, election. The causes lie there, and that it's become so polarized that the two sides just can't talk to each other, and that is reflected in the classroom.
The media likes conflict. The pundits that are invited on to even the neutral shows, moderate compromise doesn't sell ad time, and it doesn't get viewers to pay attention.
We have the capacity more now than we've ever had before to surround ourselves with people who believe exactly what we believe, right? Whether it's through social media or our neighborhoods or our schools. We have the ability to block out anything that we don't agree with.
People have begun to sort themselves. People have grouped themselves to promote their own cultural lifestyles in a way that also echoes their political beliefs.
Well, most college campuses have a bit of a liberal bent in terms of the faculty in academia are liberal. And the numbers of conservative faculty is quite small. You can get in a whole argument about why that's the case, but just take it as a fact. So if most of the instructors are liberal, conservatives are going to feel hesitant about expressing their views. Where in a classroom, the teacher is like a god. They control the discussion, they award grades, they have a lot of power. Students take their cue from the professor.
You want to create a method for students to disagree with each other civilly.
Obviously, a teacher doesn't always know if a student has different political views, so a teacher should try to create a welcoming atmosphere.
From my viewpoint, that's the whole point of the classroom discussion, is not just to hear arguments from one source, but then to debate them and talk about them. And if you don't have a debate, it's not going to be as interesting.
I'm less interested in the label that we attach to the people that are arguing than what their actual arguments are.
I try and provoke a reaction and challenge the conventional wisdom that's emerging in the classroom. It's just constant.
I think, yes, a teacher should definitely challenge majority opinions as well.
You just kind of trust teachers to hopefully not be interested in indoctrination, and education is about looking at questions. It's about evaluating perspectives. And if you're not doing that, then you're not really educated.
People, if you hear somebody express something that's different from your beliefs, that's different from the popular belief, please don't shoot them down. Please respect their opinions, because that is what tolerance is.
Hello and welcome to Suburban Bakery. My name is Amy and today I'll be showing you how to make coconut blondies. Blondies are one of my favorite desserts, and although this recipe is simple, I've added a few touches of my own. You'll need 1 cup of packed brown sugar, preferably dark, 1 egg, 1 cup of flour, 1 cup of sweetened shredded coconut, 1 cup of semi-sweet chocolate chips, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, and half a cup of butter. You'll start this recipe by preheating the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit and greasing an 8x8 pan. You only need 1 bowl for this recipe, so get a large mixing bowl and a whisk or large spoon, and let's get baking. First, melt your butter. This could be done on the stovetop, but I'm lazy, so I just microwave it in my mixing bowl. If that's your style, please make sure your bowl is microwave safe first. Add the brown sugar to the melted butter and stir until it's a smooth mixture. Do this slowly so as to not splash hot butter on yourself. Now add the egg. Next, the vanilla. Now add the flour. Fold in the coconut. And now for your final ingredient, mix in the chocolate chips. Bake the blondies for 20 to 25 minutes. They should be golden brown on top, but a toothpick inserted into them should be moist yet not totally covered in batter. After they're cooled, gently flip them out of the pan and cut with a sharp knife. Cut them into however many squares you want. I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. And that's how you make the perfect coconut blondie. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time.